I wanted to ask you guys the move that your team should have done, but they didn't, and now you believe it was the biggest missed opportunity for them. All right. So I'll give you an example. It's actually the biggest example that I think of, and it's regarding my wonderful and favorite baseball team, the Miami Marlins. Back then, they were called the Florida Marlins. The 2009 season, the last season, the Marlins had a winning record. I think they won. And I'll actually confirm this right now.
They obviously won at least 82 games.
I think they won either 86 or 88 games. 2009 Marlins. So, Florida Marlins sticks 2009, 87 games. So,
you kind of split the difference.
Yeah, there you go. 87 games. They finished second in the NL East. I got to see the standings for that season actually. So let me look that up too. But if you guys don't know, 2009 was a pivotal year for the Marlins as a franchise, mainly because, all right, we're back. Technical difficulties. We still have about like 12 minutes left in the episode, but 2009 was a missed opportunity for the Marlins because of the fact that they were trying to get that funding for the stadium. Okay, 2009 was a pivotal year. Jeffrey Loria and his little minion, David Sampson, needed to show Miami-Dade County that they were poor. They couldn't afford to fully finance a baseball stadium, and if they didn't, they would move the Florida Marlins at that time to some place like San Antonio, which was the city that they were courting at the time.
You would actually probably, in hindsight, be very happy with that move, because or El Paso.
No. Well, if that had happened, El Paso would be fine. If it was, if they moved the franchise to El Paso, I'd be just like the Raiders fans in L.A. Just be cheering on those El Paso Marlins. Nowhere near an ocean, but I would. They shouldn't even change the name if they ever did that. Just be the El Paso Marlins. But still, the Marlins had 87 wins that season. Last time we won, we had a winning record. And Jeffrey Loria, trading deadline, very pivotal. 2003, they traded for Ugueth Urbina, and then I think the waiver deadline, they traded for Jeff Conine. Massive moves. The Marlins got a closer. They got a seasoned veteran who had been through the playoffs before, and they win the World Series. 2009, they had Josh Johnson, who at the time was awesome. Great young pitcher.
Went to my sister's alma mater.
James He's from Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's from Oklahoma. High School. Yeah, there you go, dude. From Oklahoma, looked like that team's version of Josh Beckett. Okay, Hanley Ramirez back then wasn't a joke. Back then had less weave in his hair. But I think he was that season. I think he was the NL batting champion, and he won the Silver Slugger, and he was the Rookie of the Year in 2006. So the Marlins. So 2009 MLB standings. All right. So Charles' Yankees obviously won the World Series that season, so he remembers that year very fondly. The Marlins would have obviously, had they traded for some help that season, some starting pitching, or something like that to put them over the top, I believe the Marlins could have made the playoffs that season. So the wild card for that season were the Colorado Rockies at 92 wins. So only 5 wins away. The Marlins, had they gotten some help, maybe would have been able to make that difference. Or maybe have challenged the Phillies for the NL East. So that was the biggest missed opportunity. I think that team was prime and ready. Freddie Gonzalez was not a terrible manager that season. And it's the biggest missed opportunity for me. They would have beaten the Yankees in the World Series in 2009. And, we'd be sitting here and Derek Jeter wouldn't be trying to save the franchise now, which is kind of funny now. It's all come full circle.
And who knows? Maybe they would have still been the Florida Marlins,
or they would have been the San Antonio Marlins. Okay, so that's my biggest missed opportunity. 2009 Florida Marlins baseball season.
Charles?
Alrighty, so, as a Yankee fan, we always kind of swing home. So for me, it's not about missed opportunities of trying to sign a guy. It's missed opportunities I'm using and not looking at hindsight and avoiding signing a guy. So basically, I'm going to invert and say, we should have signed this dude because it would have helped us in the long run. And this is going to be a name that you're familiar with, Francisco. Carl Pavano.
Oh!
Yeah, because what do Yankees do when we eye you?
I love Carl
and we
Pavano.
likes you? Well, you could love you some Carl Pavano back in 2003.
Yeah. And 2004, which enticed you
2004.
guys to sign him.
Exactly. We because that was the Yankee way when the big boss was still alive.
Signing Randy Johnson.
Signing away opponents who handed us our hinds, and to keep it PG here, but also just throwing big money to pitchers. So the contract that Pavano had was for 4 years, $39.95 million. This was back in 2005. We had also signed Randy Johnson. He had been coming off a season where he went 18-8 with the Marlins, posting a 3.0 ERA. We were so happy. We were thinking we were finally getting that 1-3 punch in the rotation, and then it kind of went downhill after that. His first season in the Yanks, he went 4-2 with 3.69 ERA, but then he got hurt. And you know what happens when they come back? They get destroyed. He made 17 starts in that entire season. His finishing record was 4-6 with 4.77 ERA. Okay, maybe like a 4-5 starting pitcher numbers, but still, we paid him bigger money at that time. Didn't make a start with the Yankees in 2006. He was on the DL. Then he was in a car accident, breaking his 2 ribs, and he didn't tell anybody until like the 14 days later after the fact. So they banned him. And then he only made 9 starts within the next 2 years of his career. And then, everything was let go. His whole record over 4 seasons was 9-8 with a 5.10 ERA and 26 starts. After that, he had kind of like that career in Toronto, Cleveland, Minnesota, where he was just kind of like the average guy. But think about all the money we spent that year trying to get back into it because we were just in a Game 7 loss against the Marlins not too far out early. We got a little petty. And we paid for our pettiness. So that's a move I wish they didn't make.
You guys lost in Game 6, by the way.
Game 6, sorry. Brain's going off to a different part. But pain, beyond pain, my friends.
Okay. Anything for you, Andrew?
I'll just make mine quick. I'm not used to a team that has to go through such a really big rebuilding in order to get someplace. But I kind of understand how the Sixers and all these tanking teams feel. Although, contrary to what we've been doing, the Rays did really well this year in terms of record. But every time we trade away a really good player that's been with the team for a long time, I feel like a little bit of my heart breaks and it gets chipped away. The biggest moment was when we traded Evan Longoria to the Giants. I mean, all these different trades hurt. Jason Bartlett, Sean Rodriguez, you name it. I think there's nobody left from the 2008 World Series roster at this point, and just seeing them all chipped away, it hurts. So I think kind of as a collective, that would be my answer. But especially the Evan Longoria trade. I know it may help us in the long run, but...
And it didn't help the Giants, that's for sure.
But at least for now, all of them is just very painful. I was hoping that he would have come up through the system as a Ray, played his entire career as a Ray. I mean, I know that we've discussed before that you don't buy jerseys normally for players unless it's a player that's meant a lot to the team. For me, Longoria is that player. I would go out and buy a jersey with his name and number because dude was more than just a player. He kind of symbolized the team, was the heart of the team.
I mean, I don't know what the Giants are. Well, they're championship winners shut. It's over. It's done.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 30. Longoria, he's 32. Last season's numbers were, I mean, it's obvious he's on the downswing of his
I
career.
know, but he is, with very little argument, the best player in Rays history.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the Wade Boggs who came in the last year of his career, got his 3,000th hit. I mean, obviously,
he
Wade
pretty much
Boggs
owns the record,
right?
For the Rays.
But I'm talking about in terms of their career with the Rays.
Right.
He is bar none the best player, and like I said, beyond just his play, I know he's on the decline. Although watch him have an astronomical 2019 season. Now that I've said this, but more than that, it's just what he represented to the team as more or less the captain. He didn't have the C on his jersey, but like Derek Jeter was for the Yankees, he was our captain more or less. So losing that was very painful.
Okay.